And we're live. Welcome to the first edition of Monday Madness, sponsored by Lineage Independent Publishing. My name is Michael Hurd, and I'm the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing. And with me today are Lisa Talbot in Portugal. She is an author that publishes under the Lineage imprint. Patricia Donahue, who writes under the pen name of G.B. Carmichael. She is actually in the south coast of England, joining us. And then we have Rebecca Connerty Bruce joining us from Florida. Now, all four of us have published books under the Lineage imprint. And the whole idea of this little broadcast is for us to just chit chat about our books, our works in progress, and what it means to us to be writers. So with that, let's start with Lisa and just find out what she's working on at the moment.
What I'm working on at the moment, my fourth novel. I named it to begin with, What Happened to Nathan. Nathan is a 5-year-old boy who's been abducted and he's been taken abroad. Now, his abductor isn't a vile person. He's not cruel. He's not a pervert. He's taking him to get over the loss of his own son that was killed in a car accident. He lost his wife and his son in a car accident. So he takes Nathan to compensate for his grief. So I've actually finished the outlines. I've done 56,500 words. Now I have all the and embroidery to do and just to make sure that everything's running, because you notice at the beginning I said that the mother lived in a council house, and then later on in the book said that she'd sold a house to been able to. So there are those kind of things that I'm now having to go back and address and make it more realistic. So it should be about, I should get about another 4,000 words in, so it should be about 60,000 word book. Yeah, obviously a few more weeks to do.
Okay.
That's where you're with novel number 4, and as I say, I've altered the title. It's no longer What Happened to Nathan. It's now, I believe I'm going to call it The Licorice Tree, which sounds,
wow.
Yeah, well, it is significant within the book, so that's why I've decided The Licorice Tree.
Instead of the Nathan title?
Because What Happened to Nathan, it's very obvious. The Licorice Tree isn't obvious until you're actually reading the book. It's like the title of Patch of Yellow had no relevance until you actually got in the book, and then it made more sense. And okay. I think that's what I wanted to do with this one. I found the title too predictable and too cringeable.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
All right.
Are you happy with the ending that you've got now?
Oh, very, very. It's obviously I've got a lot of filling in to do, which you do when you go back. It's like you with what you're doing. You go back, you put more in, you have more thoughts that you've got to involve to bulk it out. But because I did one ending and I showed it to Mum, and she said, "Oh no, I don't like that. No, I'm not happy." So I redid the ending and I sent it to my team readers, and she went, "Oh," she said, "I've sobbed." And I thought, well, that's great that I've got that reaction. So I was chuffed about that. Good. It's different and it's not predictable.
How does it compare to the other 3 books, the other 3 novels?
Well, how does it compare? Like I said to you before, Mike, my 4 novels have been based on young children,
right,
and problems they've had, and which I had no idea I was actually going on this theme. So it's kind of the same comparison in the fact that it's another traumatic life of a child, because all my children have had, not me personally, but in my books, they've had trauma in their lives, and this is no exception. But it's traumatic, but it's very loving. You know, that his abductor loves the boy, absolutely loves him, and the man himself has had a traumatic ordeal, traumatic time. So he's a sad person, although he's a beautiful person.
Okay, and you've set aside your poetry and short story writing to focus on your novels, right? You haven't written poetry in a couple of years.
That's absolutely correct. I haven't. I've done a couple of poems for people, like for weddings, that have asked me to do them, and I have sat down and tried to do a couple, but I can't get into them anymore. I've lost that thread. I've lost the willingness to do it. I don't enjoy doing them anymore. I'm much more happy writing my novels. Really,
and yet you were so good with the poetry.
I did like my comical ones. I must admit, I prefer those to my serious ones. I love the very funny ones, or the very, very poignant, sad ones. The ones in between, I'm not, I think I'm embarrassed about now, But I think you go from different things, I'd like to see myself writing something that isn't about young children. I've been trying to, because my lady that does a lot of my editing, she said, "What's your next book going to be?" And I said, I hadn't even thought about it. So I did give it some thought, and I have an idea.
Okay, let's hold that for another day.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Pat. What about you? What are you working on right now?
At the moment, I'm still working on Vacation Killer, because that has taken on a life of its own since I started to try and fill in the gaps or create gaps so that you could have what you requested, which was a much bigger piece of work than the Vacation Killer that was in the book.
In Canongate to Cannon Shell.
Yes, in Canongate to Cannon Shell.
Okay.
And the character has turned into a very complex character that you don't hate, or you maybe you will, but I don't, because I've discovered parts of her that is kind and parts of her that has done things that you will be surprised about, and her hunger to be loved and accepted stems from her beginnings. And the murders are kind of like a self-harming, the way that self-harmers get release. Self-harming, you know how when people cut themselves, they say that they get a relief from the pain.
Right.
Well, for her, the murders are that. That's why she only kills once a year. She can manage to survive that 12 months. But some of the kills are not. They are pure revenge.
Okay.
Wow.
How long have you been working on this one?
Ever since you said we'll do the compilation, but I want that, and that bigger.
So it's all my fault then.
Well, I'm not laying blame, but the responsibility, which is a different thing altogether. My therapist's hat on here. Yes, you are responsible for that.
Well, go ahead.
I have decided that the follow-up will not, the next piece that I do will not be We Meet Again. You're going to have to wait for that, because I really want to do now this fairy story book for the children.
Okay.
Because they have been on my case. And the eldest said, Nana, you're old. Can you write it, please, before you die?
Cheeky bugger.
Well, there you go then, Pat.
So I kind of feel that I best do.
Get your skates on.
I best do that before and I will probably work on, as soon as Vacation Killer is done, I will probably start working on We Meet Again as well. But I do want, and it won't be a big book anyway, the fairy story. It'll be just a small thing. But
right.
I want it done so that they can have theirs and they can then leave me alone to write my grown-up books. I need to balance this foul, dark place that my head is capable of going to with something that's light and kind. I have been surprised at how dark my thoughts have been able to go.
Yeah. I think all of us have that happen from time to time.
Yeah.
With our books. I mean, my book number 3, Iniquity and Retribution, went to a really dark place. To the point that my wife said that it was downright scary.
Oh
yeah.
So, but
and I'm so looking forward to having. Whoa, I can't get
move it to your left a little bit. There you go.
It's not exactly how I want it, but it'll be something like that. And the mouth has been altered, Lisa.
Good.
There will be some more passport stamps sort of around here.
Great.
And the lips won't be pink, they'll be just pale. But yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm so thrilled. The guy has done an amazing job, given that I gave him 2 photos of 2 different women and said, merge the mouth to that one. So essentially the photograph is me that's on the front, which my son said, you do realize that people are going to think that you're a serial killer. And I said, well, they've always been afraid of me, so now they've got a reason to worry.
It's a biography, really.
Autobiography.
If it was, there would be no ex-husband still breathing.
There you go.
All right, so let's move on to Rebecca and hope we can hear her.
I will talk really loud.
Okay.
Just
Can
about
you hear
hear
me
you.
now?
Yeah.
So what are you working on at the moment, Rebecca?
So I'm working on a book that is about angel moms. I have several friends, I've said before, that have lost children to sudden death or unexpected death, and they have a hard time coping with it. So I thought, what would it take to make them get through the 5 stages of grief and on the other side and getting their child at peace so that they can move on with their life and it doesn't cripple their lives. So I wrote it in it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you sad, it's got all of it in there. So got comedy, so it's a little lighthearted, but at the end is a surprise ending. It's
no spoilers.
I would say that makes it a fantasy book because so that's it. That's all I'm working on. I just finished book 6 of Esther Valentine's and it's up already. So I'm taking my time on this one because I want to choose my words really well. It's not a self-help book in any means or any way like that. It's a novel. And, like I said, make you laugh and cry. And in the end is a very surprise ending.
Okay. How far along are you into it right now? How many pages have you done? How many?
I could say, I can honestly say that I could have it done tomorrow. I didn't give a number. I said I could actually have it done probably tomorrow, but I'm just kind of making sure I put my words right.
Okay.
I'm delaying it.
Okay. All
I
right.
think it's always
On
worth
purpose.
that delay.
I don't know why. Something's holding me back. Yeah, something's holding me back, so I'm waiting and I'm rereading and I'm just waiting. Something to my head. I know.
Well, one of the things that I've
Pretty much.
okay.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I found out with my work in progress is I had trouble coming up with an ending.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the book is called Uncertain Alliances. It's book 7 in my Lineage series. And it's set before, during, and slightly after the French and Indian War. For those of you over in Europe, you would have known it as the 7 Years' War. It was a lot of research went into it. There was stuff about American history that I had no clue about, and went through and did all that research, and then put it all together into a cohesive storyline based on my family roots in Connecticut, which is north and slightly east of New York City. So it's I was researching the battles of the war, who fought whom, when the militia was mobilized, what the social climate was like, the intermarriages between Indians and white settlers, Native Americans and white settlers,
Right.
and just having to put a whole storyline on there, and then maintaining the storyline that was consistent with chapter 5 of my first book, which is where I introduced the concept of the deacon, the Presbyterian deacon, and the converted Christianized Mohegan Indian becoming very good friends and living in adjacent villages. So putting all that together into a cohesive story that was consistent with the first book really was painful. And then I got to a point where I said, okay, how am I going to end this? And it ends actually with a beginning. So it ends with a new beginning.
I find that amazing.
What's that?
The ending. That you actually conceive of the ending. I have no choice. The character tells me how it ends.
Well, the book went where the characters took me. And that was one of the things that I had issues with was that, okay, I've got bits and pieces of history that come together, and this character is doing this and that character is doing that, and another one was a survivor of a massacre on the frontier, and so it was a whole bunch of stuff that all had to be woven together, and it just okay, what's the next logical step in the 18th century for all of these characters? And the life expectancy back then was, a man was old at 45 and a woman was old at 30.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
The blurbs,
I guess we're all the crones here.
Yeah, something like that anyway.
Oh, you speak for yourself.
That's right.
Listen, I'm very happy with the title crone, because originally it meant wise woman.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, it still does in the dictionary.
Okay.
And then of course I had to bring in a Scottish preacher in one of the last chapters too. And Pat and I have been going back and forth on Scottish dialect.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did
It's
that
very
Scottish-
difficult, because
It's a
if you're going to use Scottish dialect or colloquialism, you either have to go all in or pretend he's been away or that he's actually been left Scotland a long time,
Right.
because otherwise it just doesn't work if he's part Anglophile and part Scots,
Right.
because a Scot reading it would go, never. No
Right.
Scot would say that. And an Anglophile would go, there's somebody pretending to be Scottish.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that the English think that all Scots go, oh, hi.
The new.
I didn't use that once. I didn't use Ochai once.
No, you No, you
I
didn't,
used
Mike.
I a few
And
times.
I rest my case with Lisa going the new at the end of it.
He was but a wee bairn.
Wow.
I
So how did this?
I must admit, reading this, the Alliance one, the Uneasy Alliance, I read a new writer. This is not, in parts I see the old Mike's writing, but in other parts I see a new aspect of you. It's like I said to you the other night, it's like you've set free your emotions. The way that Lisa's mum kept saying you've got to put more description in there.
Right.
It's there's so much more emotion in it. I as I said to you, you've gone from monochrome to high definition color.
Oh, that's a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
I'm really
wait to
enjoying reading it. It's not hard to read.
Well, that's
Sorry,
good.
Rebecca, did you say
Right.
something?
I said I agree.
Well, thank you.
agree. He
Yeah.
has come a long way, and he's a. Yes, I agree.
Well, thank
Can't
you.
wait.
It is very. I'm loving this, and it's just my. I mean, The Last of the Mohicans is one of my most favorite films, not least because of the music, the Gale, that's played through it, because that was my shop name. But its descriptions are vivid, and you're not afraid to use some of the more florid language to show something, whether it's an unpleasant or a pleasant emotion. You're showing it with a better stylization of words. Stylization. My English isn't that great. I'm a Scot. Sorry.
I enjoyed the
Describing emotions better.
Sorry, Rick.
Say again, Rebecca.
It's okay. I said he is getting better at describing the emotional side. Instead of telling the story, you can feel
Definitely.
the story and almost see it with words.
Yes.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Did you enjoy writing it,
I
Mike?
think that's what makes.
Sorry,
Say
I was
again,
gonna
Lisa.
say, Mike,
All right. Lisa first, then Pat.
did you feel you were writing it more passionately? Did you
Yes,
enjoy
I
writing
did.
it?
I did.
Good, because I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed. You know, when you sent me the first ones, I said, Mike, I think this is going to be your number one. I really I enjoyed the sub. I loved the relationship with the Red Indians, and I it was just a fascinating subject anyway. But I just wondered how you felt about it then. So you obviously felt more happy with your writing.
I would say that that's probably the case, and I think some of that stems from book 6, The Germans, where there was a very close family connection, a recent family connection to the characters in that book, and that I think helped me get over some of the, I don't know, some of the and then writing that I was doing in my first couple of books, you know, and so maybe I've crossed the Rubicon finally.
Yes.
I think that's always.
I think that happens.
Go ahead, Rebecca. We can barely hear you.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm talking as loud as I can. Just saying, I think that happens to us all, and then we peak. But there's always a time in my life I would almost wish I could go back and rewrite everything. But it has improved, and I agree with everybody that you're peaking.
Let's hope I haven't hit the peak yet, because that slide on the other side is huge. It's just, it's like Michaela Schifrin hitting the top of the giant slalom and falling flat on her bum.
I think that the test of of whether or not you can sell the character is if you can step into their shoes to write what they say. And
And-
You do
if
that.
you're-
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
You do that. You do. You know, when I read your stuff, it's like, you know, you've just painted this Picasso, not a Picasso, a Rembrandt. You know, it's just all.
I'll settle for Picasso. I don't mind.
Oh, no, not a Picasso.
Yeah, but I think in fairness, the other three of you have got to, you know, I would say the same thing about your writing as well. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Lisa, what you know, the mental images that you painted for me a long time ago is what led to this partnership. And then, you know, Pat, you know, the stuff that I've read of yours, and some of the things that you have written about, you know, things that happened in World War I, or you know, or around, you know, some of the things that you've written about have just, you know, have pulled me right into your writing. And then Rebecca, the same thing for you. I read Irish Bones 1, Irish Bones 2, and you know, I was pulled into the story. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was part of the Troubles, you know. And it's, you know, so each of us in our own right, you know, are, you know,
Yeah.
trying to do exactly the same thing. Heads of our
Yeah. We've all got different styles.
Definitely.
Correct.
so, but
She's only
You know.
Which
saying
is
nice
nice.
things on here. When we speak privately, she just says to me, "I hate you."
Well, of course.
it's all tongue in cheek. It's all tongue in
Oh,
cheek.
it's
Oh, it
definitely
is.
it's definitely tongue in cheek. But she texted something to me one night, and I went, "Did I upset you?" She went, "No, I'm only kidding." I went, "Oh, right, so you hate me, and that's just fine."
It's nice when nothing's taken personally, you know, when you can tell people that and they don't analyze it, you know. Does she really hate me? No. I'm envious of you, the way you write though, Pat. I really am.
Enough.
All right, okay. Yes, we all have our own unique style. Well, everybody's got his style.
Absolutely. I'm just really pleased though with Mike, because the stories that you have are good stories, but this, because you've started to lock into the emotions, this is going to be a great story. And I'm so pleased that you've found that doorway.
No, we'll see what happens. Now I've got to figure out what to write next, because I've got about 3 weeks to play around with Uncertain Alliances before I have to lock it down for publication.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, then, you know, by then I will have started already researching for the next one. And I think I'm going to have the next one set in sometime after the sinking of the Titanic and before the Great Depression. So sometime in the 1912
Awesome.
to 1929 time frame.
Is that Edwardian time?
Victoria.
It's post Victoria. Victoria died in 1902.
Yeah.
But you know, so
Yeah, I think it's Edwardian.
that would be Edward the 6th or 7th. I'd have to look at the post. I'd have to look at the post box out front. We've got a refurbished British post box sitting on our front stoop. That was
Right.
Edward, the Playboy King.
Yeah. By the way, did you get the dictionary I sent you?
Yes, I did. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, though.
When I came across it, I thought, this is what he needs. Scott's dictionary.
And you blacked out all the swear words. Thank you very much.
I did not. Mainly because we make up our own swear words as depending on the rage levels.
Yeah.
So we believe it or not, we actually have one viewer
Oh, good Lord.
who have live. Some the people will watch this after the fact. but because of the time of day over here, it's only 4:15 in the afternoon. So I will ask our one viewer, who happens to be my wife,
All right, people are,
if she has any questions.
oh, okay. Bring it on, Sandy.
She's silent. I'm sure she'll think of something eventually. So, but so anyway, so overall, I think we're all comfortable with where we are, with our books. I certainly am, and I'm comfortable working with the three of you, as we go forward. So, it's the whole idea for I think all three of us share the same feeling, is that the whole idea is for us to have fun writing. And if we sell a few books, as part of the process, that's great. But we're not doing this to be necessarily on the New York Times bestseller list, but that certainly would be nice.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
it's
we
still
do
out
have
there.
that.
Let's let Rebecca first. You all three tried to say something at the same time. Rebecca, go ahead.
I'm going to buy a new microphone. Second of all, it may happen we could reach the New York Times best-selling list. You never know.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. If it happens, it happens. But it's not something that I'm exactly aiming for. I'm just happy to be able to put books out there and see the sales reports come in every month. So, Pat, you had your hand up.
Lisa,
It's gone.
I've certainly read books that are lauded as fantastic pieces that are a lot worse, in my opinion, than things that I've read of all three of you. And Catcher in the Rye being a perfect example.
Aww.
I think that it's just a boring book about a teenager being a stroppy little git. I tried really hard. I wanted to read it for years and years, and then bought a copy and got about halfway through, and I thought, this is boring. I'm not reading this.
I can't remember the last time I put a book down that I didn't enjoy. But then again, I haven't had much time to read lately because I'm too busy writing and editing the stuff that you lot send me.
Oh, we're sorry.
Right.
I don't know. Talk about gratitude. You write him something so that he makes a couple of pennies and he complains about it.
Nah. But when I'm having the most fun is when I'm writing a book and editing another one at the same time, because I can switch back and forth between the two. When we were doing Cannon Gate to Cannon Shell, or when we were doing a Patch of Yellow or Spud, and I was working on stuff all together that it just made sense to write a little bit and then switch over and edit a little bit and then write a little bit, and it's just a process that I had to keep to keep one or the other from just completely running me over.
I don't know how you do it.
Rebecca.
And then Margot came along, and that was when I had to sit down and read. My Name is Margot, Lisa's third novel. I had to sit down and read that one cover to cover before I could even start editing it, because I didn't know where the story was going to go. And it was just, I had to read that first and then start putting it together. So, but that book is very good.
And that's time consuming.
Lisa, go ahead.
Something that Rebecca was talking about her new book has made me think of something that I want to ask really all three of you, because I can't imagine writing the subject that you're approaching, Rebecca, without it emotionally impacting on you. And I know from my own point of view that writing The Vacation Killer, because of things that have happened in my life, I have found, strangely, it's been quite therapeutic. But I wonder if all of you have ever noticed that your book has impacted on you, one of the characters, for example, has
Right.
impacted you emotionally?
Not for me.
No?
I can't
No, it's
say
just make
too much
believe.
because it'll give away a lot.
Rebecca,
I'm
you're
sorry,
breaking
I
up.
can't hear you, Rebecca.
Okay. I really can't say too much because it'll give it a lot away, but my 5 closest friends have all lost a child. So their impact impacted me, and I'm going on that. And I wish there was something I could do. And some of the characters are, you know, based on those on their children. So it is personal, but it doesn't make me. It makes me feel empowered. Like if I could just, if this could be true and I let this happen and give it to them, I feel like it would make things better. But it's not self-help or self-pity, anything like that. It's miraculous, is how I would explain it. But yeah, it does affect me, but not in a negative way. Like I'm doing something and I need to get this out because this is what I've been wanting to tell them or tell anybody. So, and then I added some humor in it because everybody's unique and some of them had a wonderful sense of humor. So I added that in so that somebody doesn't just read it and cry from page 1 to 300, you know. So I think it's going to be good. And I know the ending. It's just that 3/4 mark where I need to add something and I don't know what yet. It'll come to me. I don't try to force it. I let it just happen. And that's where I'm at.
Right. Right. Well, like I told you when you sent me the first couple of chapters, just as a quick look through before it was even a fully formed idea, Sandy and I, we lost our son to cancer almost 12 years ago. And there are some places in the first couple of chapters that were very difficult to read. But at the same time, I could see where you were going with, some of the other aspects of the book. And I'm looking forward to reading those. So.
Yeah, I love the concept.
Yeah.
It's right up
So
my street.
You stay safe behind the gin, do you?
I'm sorry, who was that question directed to?
Me.
To Lisa, the gin queen. I said, you keep yourself emotionally protected with the gin, do you?
I said, different kind of spirits. How rude.
Oh, a different kind of spirit.
It's water.
Liquid spirit.
Everybody thinks that's water. It's not.
Liter and a half of gin.
So we're coming up on the 40 minute mark. We've been on live for 38 minutes, almost 39. I think that we can probably wrap this up. I think this has been a good experiment for the 4 of us, and I'm looking forward to trying to do this again in a couple of weeks, and certainly when we do the launch for Uncertain Alliances on March 9th, which we'll figure out. We've got to have a plan B in case Rebecca doesn't get her audio problems resolved by then, so that we can make sure that comes off smoothly. So anyway, ladies, any last minute comments you want to make before we end the broadcast and go back behind the curtain?
Yeah, that was a sneaky way of letting us know that we were doing this more than once.
You got it.
I didn't know that.
No, he's just dropped that in. I did notice he said it earlier on. This is the first. And I thought, the first? What does he mean, the first? So we're going to be sort of divas on YouTube or something?
I hope so.
Cool.
Well, that's fine because soon it will be the summer,
Sandy.
so I should be sitting here in t-shirt tops, not jumpers. Anyway, yes. Goodbye then, everybody.
Okay, well, don't run off. I'm going to end the broadcast, and we can go backstage again and back to the dressing rooms. So don't run off, ladies. All right. So everybody that's been watching this offline, or I should say in playback mode, this has been Monday Madness with the authors that write under the Lineage Independent Publishing imprint. Myself, Mike Hurd, I'm the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing. Lisa Talbot in Portugal, Patricia Donahue in on the south coast of England, and Rebecca Conity Bruce in Ocala, Florida. So I think that's where you are, right, Ocala? Okay. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching us after the fact, and we look forward to doing this again.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.